All right, peace and blessings, family. Welcome to Earth Mama Live. I'm back again with another person running for the City Council seat in District 8. So I'm joined by Les Simmons. Welcome. Thank you for coming to talk to me.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me both in your space on the show and with your social network as well. And those that are listening, I'm looking forward to a great conversation and a get to know less kind of conversation, but more so a get to know you kind of conversation as well and what's needed for Southside.
Right now. So my first question is, who is Les Simmons and why are you running for the City Council seat in District 8?
Well, Les Simmons is a husband of 18 years. I'm a father of 3. I met my beautiful wife, Katrina Simmons, in District 8, actually, when we were in the 3rd grade. And we have been working, living, playing, and worshiping in District 8 since then. We moved down here to South Sacramento, in particular in Meadowview, when I was very young, around 7 years old or so. My mom was in law school, Lincoln Law School.
Wow.
That time, she was getting ready to go in a part of law school, and she was told by one of her professors she didn't deserve to be here. She needed to be in a home, in a kitchen somewhere cooking. Let's just say, after that, my mom got the passion in the zeal, in the fire to not only complete law school, but get 2 doctorate degrees in law. And she went on to start a beauty supply store in Valley High Drive, right there on Center Parkway and Valley High Drive by 7-Eleven. What used to be Hardy's Barbershop is there now as well too. And Katrina, who is my wife now, mom started a beauty salon right next door. We used to sweep the floors of both the beauty salon and the beauty supply shop. And you know, our families got really, really close. From then on, I have lived, worked, and as I said, played in District 8. My dad started a church, actually, with 18 people. It was him, my mom, my 3 brothers, and my sister, and our dog, and a few others. And I was working in the nursery for some time, but watching my brothers. That was the nursery. And we started right off of Mac Road. And this past week, we celebrated 30 years of ministry.
Wow.
We have grown since then, of course, to now have multiple services, 2 English services, 2 Spanish service, and we also support a Nigerian service. I'm also the senior pastor of that church as well. We've been deeply rooted in South Sacramento and providing both our place of worship, but more importantly, also a place of community, place of support. Our goal is to be deeply embedded in a part of the community. So that's the upbringing I kind of had in South Sacramento, which led me to working in the district. And if you remember, around 2011, there was a big barbershop shooting on Stockton Boulevard.
I remember that.
And a young lady by the name of Monique lost her life. At that point, there was a request for both faith leaders, community leaders, and people to come together to address community violence. And I stepped in that space and began to work in collaboration with the city of Sacramento with a program called Ceasefire. And I was one of the lead kind of operational persons for Ceasefire. And we created the Sacramento Night Walks. We created a violence prevention intervention program, which ultimately brought violence down within the community. And I also joined the mayor's gang task force and really started to address community violence. From then, I was able to join the Mac Road board and address a lot of the challenges we see in our community around places for young folks together. If you remember, we helped launch the Valley High Community Center down Center Parkway and Mac Road because young folks needed a place to gather. We needed a place of community. And then we started Summer Night Lights. And now we have a whole series of citywide Summer Night Lights and pop-up events. That was because of a lot of the work that I was a part of with the Mac Road Business District, folks like D'Angelo Mac, people that were on that board and that drive to really make that happen. And then later on, I felt like it was just having one community gathering place in the district on that side was not good enough. We needed more. And we started renting what was historically Cal Skate. And if you remember,
I remember Cal Skate.
Cal Skate was the place to go to. We had Cal Skate, we had Camelot, and we had the bowling alley.
I remember that.
Cal Skate, people, some folks got their first kiss at Cal Skate. Some people had their first kind of moments at Cal Skate. I had a few of those moments myself. And so we looked at that facility and said, we have to create a place where our community could gather again. And so we started renting it, and then an opportunity came on to purchase it. And so my family, through the leadership of my mom, Deborah, I don't call her Deborah, I call her Pastor Deborah,
okay.
and Mom, began to actually audition for Family Feud. I don't know if folks know this or you know this. We auditioned for Family Feud, and we won the audition, so we went on the show. And we took a little family poll and gathered, and it was like, Les, you can't go on the show because you're a little bit more analytical in your responses, and we need that fast response time. Right. Katrina watches the show every day, all day, right? So you got to be quick on that draw. So she went in our family, and then my mom, my brother, 2 cousins. We actually won the whole show, all 5 games.
What?
All 5 games won it. And won the car, and it was a nice SUV, and they started having a real family feud over who was going to drive the car and when they were going to drive the car. So it was to our advantage to
sell the car,
back to the show, and which of course we did. We were going to do that, and we actually sold the car back to the show. And my wife and I, Dad and Mom, a few of our family members, we used those resources alongside of partners and friends, and we actually purchased the old Cal Skate building. Since then, we've revitalized it. We see over 1,000 kids go through our doors a month through all of our pop-up events, our STEM programming, our youth mentorship programming, and now family skate night events as well too. And it's a huge success. We just put a brand new skate floor inside of it. We partnered with the Sacramento Kings and got a brand new NBA floor. So when those kids are playing basketball, which we had our pop-up event this past weekend, and next thing you know, it's us like, 200 kids coming in there, envisioning themselves dunking, envisioning themselves being the next great. They get a vision for their future. It's a huge success. And it's things like that I think are important for our district. Things like addressing places for young folks together, addressing community violence, addressing homelessness, addressing economic development. And in my 20-year career of being in this community and being a part of providing resources and services, I've done that on a community level. And I'm running for City Council to do this on a policy level and to ensure that the opportunities that we all know are there and ever present in our community that need champions to get it done will get it done.
So you got a couple of questions in here that we're going to get to in just a minute. Tell us, what is the job of a city council member?
Right.
What's the job? What's the job description?
Well, you definitely have a job of looking out for city employees, for sure, right? Core city services, to ensure that you have the resources for those core city services, that you are looking out for city staff and folks that are employed by the city of Sacramento. You have that job, and that's a very important piece to look after, their health care benefits, their retirement benefits, to look after their day-to-day operation and make sure they are insured and promised the support that's needed for that. And then you have that job of almost shepherding a community, right? That you're there as that liaison or that broker to ensure that resources and services go to your community, to ensure that opportunities go to your community, to ensure that grassroots organizations like yours has that support from city government, from your council member that's needed to continue to do the important work you do, right? It's ensuring those things happen. It's ensuring a process that the community could gather and have a seat at the table to really help decide what's important for the district. Council member really facilitates that role and helps process that community having a seat at the table to address important issues that both the community and the city are in partnership in addressing.
Got you. Chris Lodges is saying hi to you. He said, "What do you have an agenda specifically for Black folks in South Sacramento / District 8?" So that's a question coming from Chris Lodges.
I think we have to have an agenda that we have to support, right? One of the things I was been able to do is be a part of the Rails grant over this past year, and was awarded the Rails grant through Sierra Health Foundation, and we really worked within the community to develop, both cultivate and develop minority-owned, Black-owned businesses. One of them was a coding business where we went through a whole cohort to develop that business, help support that business. Another one was a seasoning business. Another one was a books and brunch business. I think we have to be very targeted, and I do have an agenda, and I'm open to helping to take people on that journey to make sure that that agenda is reaching those that within our community and the vast variety of folks that need that support. I also think there has to be some areas at addressing and supporting businesses that are already there, or gathering spaces that are already there. For instance, African Marketplace. It's not necessarily in District 8, but it is definitely servicing both District 8, District 7, District 5, right? All of Sacramento. It's a place where our culture gathers. It's a place where community gathers. It's a place where you see both a celebration of food, you see a celebration of art, you see a celebration of clothing. I think that has to not only be cultivated but supported, right, in a way that has the resources, that has the support, that has the dollars to make it continue to make it successful. It's already had a level of success. I think we have to champion those things and be able to not be afraid to say, I want to support the African Marketplace. I want to cultivate business within there, as well as others.
So what's your plans for District 8 around I'm just kind of lumping this together, but affordable housing, home ownership, jobs for youth and adults? Because adults don't have jobs either, just like young people, and business development. So you kind of talked a little bit about the business, but particularly around the affordable housing and home ownership, because we know that the areas that are most successful in Sacramento have a high ownership, which means they have higher tax dollars. What is your plan for that for District 8?
So District 8, as you know, I live in District 8. I've lived here for a long time, and have lived here since a kid as well too, right? I see so many opportunities to address the housing issue when it comes to the housing shortage. If you look both at Delta Shores, which is part District 8, part District 7, if you look at a lot of vacant land, there is also a lot of development happening right now in District 8, but there's a lot of opportunity to address both the housing issue regarding the housing shortage issue. I think there's estimated could be 5,000 homes or something like that built in Delta Shores area. There's an opportunity to champion those projects, to champion in a way that we can stabilize the housing issue right now because of addressing the housing shortage issue.
Right on. Kua says, "Hey Les," people like talk like, "Hey Les."
Hey Kua.
What type of radical leadership do you plan to bring to the City Council to dismantle the current system of white supremacy and systematic inequalities?
Well, I think we have to definitely champion, not only champion a process to make sure there is equity when it comes to hiring, when it comes to diversity, both in male and female, female and male, and so gender equity, as well as cultural equity, to make sure that it's a diverse culture. And I plan to champion that. I do plan to be a part of that. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. I feel like we have to both address issues that our culture has not had a seat at the table because maybe it hasn't been inclusive enough, right? And to be able to have that conversation and have that dialogue. I also feel like that we have to have representation when it comes to addressing community issues and ensuring there is a pipeline of and cultivating that pipeline of the next generation of leaders, like what you do, right? Having support to continue to develop a women's resource center, and to see young folks get mentored, get coached, and then ultimately becoming that next leader. I think we have to have that type of support from our council to be able to champion those things. I've done it currently in my current role, and I want to champion that if I'm successful in winning this campaign.
So we know that District 8 is a large area, right? So immediately I think of Meadowview, then I think of Valley High, then I think of parts of Elk Grove, which I guess is
Parkway.
North Laguna.
Yeah,
Parkway, kinda.
Parkway area, North Laguna. We know it as Valley High because we grew up a lot in the Valley High area, but it's got a nice name to it, North Laguna. It's a great association, great folks there.
So having an area that big, how could we make sure that, what is your plan for equality and equity in these different areas? Because we know that Meadowview does not look like, and I remember the progression when I lived here. We moved here in 1983 from the East Coast, and I remember people going from Meadowview to Valley High to Elk Grove. That was always like the progression of moving on up. If we had that, looks very different in District 2 with Del Paso Heights just have roots, so people will be there forever. You can get land forever.
Right.
But what is your plan to make sure all of these different areas have some equity?
Yeah. So the word equity is right. I think there is well-needed equity within a lot of our district, especially when it comes to within our district areas that have been underserved with the resources and support services that are needed, the programs that are needed, the economic boom and economic development that's needed, whether that's supporting business owners, supporting workforce and workforce readiness programs, whether that's supporting grassroots organizations. I think there's a number of things that has to be done, but you have to see it first, right? I definitely see it. I've worked in both in all of South Sacramento, including the Meadowview area, at a community level at addressing different challenges within the community. I think contrary to a lot of what people say, District 8 has a level of safety to it, but there has to be a cultivation of the next phases of that, and continue to support grassroots organizations that are doing a lot of the violence prevention intervention work, a lot of the mentorship work. I think when it comes to equity, ensuring that folks have a seat at the table, that know the different challenges within their communities that they face, and being able to take those set of challenges and then develop an action plan to address them, right? We already know that in Meadowview there's a lot of support needed when it comes to jobs, when it comes to business development. We know those things. I think we have to champion them. When it comes to addressing areas where we see vacant properties, right? We have to identify that and then attract businesses to be able to build up in that area and cultivate the next kind of generation and the next wave of what the community looks like.
If you obtain this seat, what would the people have to do to make sure you can get the job done that you want to have done? So I think it's one thing if everybody run in and support me, blah, blah. But once people get in office, sometimes the constituents don't do the next part. It's kind of like making sure your kid get to college, but you ain't really trained them on what it takes to really be in college and the part you're supposed to do to help them stay in there.
Right.
What can the people do?
Continue to hold folks accountable for sure, right? We didn't all land at the place we are at because everybody made every right decision. You had good people surrounding you to help drive an agenda. And as a city council member, it's going to take continual support of good people around us helping to drive an agenda forward that's inclusive of everyone in our community. As you know, South Sac is one of the most diverse areas in the city, and I think that should be something that's celebrated, something that's understood, and something that's supported. And it's going to take everyone helping to drive that inclusive economic development, that neighborhood safetyness, that support that's needed to continue to cultivate and develop our community. One of the things I remember a few years ago in 2016, after there was a shooting down on 24th and 24th and Metairie, right at the park. Guy lost his life, and me and a couple other leaders like Greg King and Barry, and we jumped in and really started to say we need something different here. This guy was a Hispanic guy. His name was Ernie, and we began to, really highlight that and put some pressure on both the city and on other players at violence prevention intervention work, and we called for a program that now is operational in the city that is addressing community violence, and we see violence coming down. I think you have to be able to bring people at the table who understand the set of issues that are within the community, and then go on a journey together to address these set of issues and to really work hard to champion to change them. That's one of the things that I've enjoyed doing in my current form and cultivating the Simmons Center, and now bringing on a basketball and skating ring back online for our young folks to be able to, and family members to be able to have and enjoy. I think it's going to take passion. Power without passion is misguided. And I think we have to have some passion as elected officials that is grounded, deeply grounded in the needs and challenges within the community, and are ready to champion those set of needs and challenges.
Right on. So the city is working on a plan for inclusive economic development. How are you fighting to make sure that the community is upfront and in the center of this process?
Right. So there is from what we all have seen, I was definitely a part of pushing for the resources to even have economic development, and have been a part of that since even the first Measure U. If you remember, in 2011, Measure U was on the ballot, and there was a lot of people doing a lot of organizers. I was one of those individuals doing a lot of the phone banking and helping to really broker what was going to be used, what that Measure U fund was going to be used. At that time, there was a shortage on core city services. So the first Measure U was going to be used for fire, parks, and rec, public safety as well too, right? And then a small portion was going to be used for community programs to address violence, and that's where you had Ceasefire come in and other programs. This time around, the promise was for economic development. And you seen last year, and I was looking on my timeline on social media, and saw last year a series of conversations within this community that people had, like Barry, in barbershops, about what it means to be supportive of Measure U and what does economic development mean. And ultimately it passed. We were a big part of that. This time around, we have to champion economic development to make sure that those resources reach the ground floor, reach businesses like that are around here, and cultivate those businesses. Make sure people have opportunity to apply for grants that will be released for economic development, to start a business, to support a business, right? And then we have to make sure that people have a seat at that table. I think currently definitely have been on that journey to broadcast when an opportunity comes. And as an elected official, I definitely would be working to make sure that everybody had the opportunity and knows when opportunity comes to be a part of the inclusive economic development.
Jody Johnson says, has this term equity evolved over time, and are we using the term relatively to our current realities? What does equitable economics look like?
Well, I think equity, it means that there are some things we have to continue to pour into or give to a person because it hasn't been given. So to create, I'm gonna just use this term, to create a space where all boats float, we have to target certain areas, right? And in our community, we need to target a lot of the African American community to make sure that there's opportunity, that can equal the playing field, that when it comes to income, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to a number of things, we have to understand that we have to pour some resources to make that happen, right? And that's what I think equity really is really addressing.
What is your plan for working across the different ethnic, faith-based, cultural, lines in our community? Because even though we're very diverse, in some ways we're very segregated. What's your plan to make sure you can work in all of those communities, even if they didn't vote for you?
Yeah, I think you have to have cultural brokers, people that right
broker this culture,
to broker the culture, that really know history, and you have relationship with. You first have to go to them. For instance, we made sure in launching my campaign that our website and all of our literature was going to be bilingual, because I understand that not everybody reads English. They shouldn't. It's other cultures. And we want to make sure that they're included in this process, right? And as an elected official, we have to continue to do that. We have to celebrate the culture, go to cultural meetings. I'm very much driven by that. Food is a way where everybody gathers.
That's so true.
Historically, in my past, we've had multicultural festivals. Those festivals need supporting because it brings culture together. And food does that. And then, like I said, you have to have those cultural brokers that can help organize within their own communities the different challenges and needs, and really address those things. In the past, you've seen within a lot of our communities organizers. That's how come I'm thankful for the role I've had with Sacramento Act over the last couple of years, and really understanding how organizers play a key role in both addressing key issues and organizing their own community around those issues, but how they are those cultural brokers to really set within their community and bring those issues up and now address those issues. You need those.
Cool is asking, is the community currently at the table with the planning for economical development and inclusivity? Being a part of the process is important. Do you know of that? Because I don't really know that much about Measure U. In terms of the after effects of now, do you know anything about that? Or do you have any plans for once you get in there?
Yeah, I think there are some places where certain parts of the community very much may be a part of that process. I think there could always be a better job at making sure those processes are inclusive. I've actually myself, in many cases, in years back, said, "Man, when are these conversations where decisions are made happening? I need to be in the room." And so I get that for sure, and that's how come I'm like, we have to make sure that there are large enough tables for everybody to sit at, that the message is broadcast in every platform for everyone to be able to have a seat at the table and not just on one platform. I think it could always be done better. That does require outreach, and I think in many cases we've seen in multiple situations that the city can always do a better outreach and an opportunity. And because I know I'm from the community, I definitely, as an elected official, will be making sure the outlets to release opportunity are at a community level, right? Because I understand that they can articulate it to the next person in a way that the city can't articulate it.
So as we wrap, I want you to look right into this camera and talk to the viewers out there on why you need to be the next city council member,
right.
District 8.
Right. Again, Rolanda, thank you though for allowing me to be on the show, and those that asked the questions as well too. I'm running to ensure that both the inclusive economic development that was promised to District 8 is delivered to District 8. I'm running for City Council to ensure our young folks have an opportunity, have the opportunity to thrive, and have an opportunity to walk in safe communities, opportunity to get jobs, have an opportunity to have some of the childhood we had when it comes to their gathering spaces, like what Cal Skate was. I'm running for city council to address key issues that I feel are very important when it comes to housing development and addressing the housing shortage issue. I'm running for city council also to address key issues that are literally right now with homelessness. We see that, and a lot of this community just went through a tough conversation with that. I believe we have to champion those things. We can't be afraid to not address them. And if elected, it's not a win just for Les Simmons. This is a win for us. This is a win for our community. I come from the community. I come from advocacy. I come from front line, being on the front lines of a lot of the work that we have seen all of us champion and been so passionate about. I bring that cultural knowledge, that relational knowledge to a city council position to be able to make the change with us that's necessary to impact our generation and move our community forward to where all of us can live, all of us can thrive, all of us can look back and say, man, look at Southside, look at the development, look what's going on, look at the community organizations that's there that are thriving, that have the support that's needed, look at the business development that's there. We are at a different place, and if successful, if I get to represent us in that platform, that is my plan. It is a win for us. Thanks.
Thank you, Les.
You're
I
welcome.
also put your website up and your Facebook page.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
All right.
I wish I could